Welcome back to another class on Gemara Journey with Rashi. We are in Masechet Berachot Daf Amud Aleph. This will be part 5 of the Shi'ur. Before we begin today's lesson, I want to go back and add two important points to part 4 of the Shi'ur. Point number 1 is, whenever we had the machloket, the three-way machloket, what does it mean to be Yisurin Shel Ahava? According to one man the Amr, as long as it doesn't cause Bittul Torah, it's called Yisurin Shel Ahava. According to another man the Amr, as long as the Yisurin do not cause Bittul Tefillah, it's considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava. Came Rabbi Yochanan said, 1 second, why does it have to be like that? Even if it has Bittul Torah, meaning even if the Yisurin they cause Bittul Torah, and they cause Bittul Tefillah, it's still considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava. So we saw the three-way machloket between these Tanaim. One says if the Yisurin cause Bittul Torah, it's not Yisurin Shel Ahava. The other one said if the Yisurin caused Bittul Tefillah, it's not considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava. Came Rabbi Yochanan and said, no. Even if it causes Bittul Torah and Bittul Tefillah, it's considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava. Now, Rabotai, that is, close that bracket up for a second. Forget about that. This is what we just wanted to see over there, the machloket in Yisurin Shel Ahava. From there in on, it's not a machloket in Yisurin Shel Ahava. In my humble opinion, I'm understanding the Gemara a little bit different. I'm understanding the Gemara to mean, what is Yisurin? Suffering in general. It has nothing to do now with Yisurin Shel Ahava. And I'll explain to you what I mean. The Gemara comes and it asks Rabbi Yochanan, it says like this, I don't understand, Rabbi Yochanan, how can you make that statement that if a person has Bittul Torah and Bittul Tefillah, is still considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava? How can you say it when the pasuk clearly says, Ashrei hagever asher tiyasrenu ya umitoratecha talamidenu? It clearly says, praiseworthy is the person that at the time when Hashem is making him suffer, he's still learning Torah. So you see clearly from there that at the time when a person is learning Torah and he's being tortured, then you could tell me it's Yisurin Shel Ahava. But if he's not able to learn because of the torture, it's not considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava. So how do you, Rabbi Yochanan, tell me that when a person can't learn Torah because of the Yisurin, it's still considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava? So Rabotai, in my humble opinion, over here we break off. Now we're going to speak about Yisurin alone, not Yisurin Shel Ahava, regular Yisurin. And I'll read it for you after, Rabotai. Because the Gemara went on to say, Davar zeh mitarotecha talamidenu. Right, this thing meaning what? Like Rashi said, Sha'ashrei adam asher tiyasrenu ya. Praiseworthy is the person that Hashem tortures him. From where do we learn it out that a person is praiseworthy if Hashem gives him suffering? From the Torah. Learn that pasuk like that. When it says over there, Ashrei hagever asher tiyasrenu ya umitoratecha talamidenu, don't learn it out to mean that he's learning Torah at the time when he's suffering. No. Learn out that when Hashem causes suffering on a person, we learn it out from the Torah itself. But it's not coming to tell you that he has to be learning Torah at the time of suffering. That's almost hard to do. So that's why, Rabotai, in my humble opinion, this transition is very important. Up to now, we spoke about Yisurin Shel Ahava. After that, when the Gemara questions Rabbi Yochanan, and that the Gemara wants to try to answer, is going on regular Yisurin. How do we know? Because if you continue paying close attention, the Gemara compares it to Rabbi Shimon, the son of Lakish. And what Rabbi Shimon, the son of Lakish, said? I'm just going to go straight to the bottom. He says, Yisurim mimirakim kol avonotav shel adam. He says, suffering cleanse a person from all his sins. It doesn't say suffering out of love. Because remember, Rabotai, Yisurin Shel Ahava is something else. It's a higher level of Yisurin. But a person can have Yisurin throughout the day, Rabotai. A person can, Chas v'Shalom Loleinu, Rabotai, be bedridden. His whole body could feel ill. He could have a fever. He can't move. Rabotai, that type of Yisurim is Yisurim that's going to be able to cleanse a person out from his Averot. So that's why, in my humble opinion, Rabotai, there is a transition that is actually happening over here. When we began speaking on the top with the machlokit, how to define the three-way machlokit, to define what does it mean Yisurin Shel Ahava, it's like we defined it. But period, over there it finishes. And then when the Gemara asks a question from the pasuk Asher Gever Asher Tiseren Yom Umitortech Talmadenu, no, now we're just trying to learn it from that pasuk that is not coming to teach me that I have to be learning Torah at the time when I'm suffering. So that's what's considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava. No, from the Torah we learn out that one who is being tortured by Kadosh Baruch Hu, basically whenever any suffering comes to a person from Hashem, or if that is the case, you should learn that from the Torah, that Hashem is going to forgive you for all your sins. Okay, Rabotai, this is a very, very important point. Again, I looked into the Gemara very well, and listen, you can disagree with me, agree with me, but it doesn't make sense any other way. And I want to show it to you now inside. Let's do it together inside, and now you guys will see a better picture. Pelegi bar Rabbi Yaakov bar Idi, Rabbi Acha bar Chanina. Rabbi Yaakov, the son of Idi, and Rabbi Acha, the son of Chanina, they argued what is called Yisurin Shel Ahava. Chad Amar, one of them said, Elohim Yisurin Shel Ahava. Kol she'en bahem bittul Torah. What is considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava? As long as there's no bittul Torah caused because of the suffering. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, Asher hagever asher teisayirenu ya, u'mitoratecha telamedenu. Again, we did this in part 4. Please listen to part 4 for all the details. I don't want to go back. All right, we have to move forward, Rabotai. V'chad amar, and one said, Elohim Yisurin Shel Ahava. Which ones are called to be Yisurin Shel Ahava? Kol she'en bahem bittul tefillah. As long as the Yisurim are not causing bittul tefillah, then we're going to tell it's considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, Baruch Elohim asher lo hisir tefillati v'chazdo mi'iti. Period. Amar lahu Rabbi Abba b'red Rabbi Chia bar Abba. Rabbi Abba, the son of Rabbi Chia, the son of Abba, said to Rabbi Yaakov, the son of Idi, and Rabbi Acha, the son of Chanina, Hachi Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba Amar Rabbi Yochanan. This is what Rabbi Chia, the son of Abba, said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Elu ve'elu Yisurin Shel Ahavahen. These and these, bittul Torah, that is caused through suffering, or bittul tefillah, that is caused through suffering, is considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava. How do we know? Shenemar, because the pasuk says, Ki et asher yahev Hashem yochiach. So now, Rabotai, listen to this carefully. Now the Gemara asks a question, Rabbi Yochanan. Up to now, we brought a proof. According to Rabbi Yochanan, what's considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava, even though it causes bittul Torah and bittul tefillah. But now the Gemara comes. That's why I'm trying to explain to you. Over here, Rabotai, we conclude. Over here, that's where we conclude defining what is Yisurin Shel Ahava according to the three opinions. Now comes the Gemara. Now the Gemara wants to ask a question. So what am I going to do with the previous passage where it clearly says, Asher hagever asher tiyasarenu ya, umitorotecha telamedenu. Praiseworthy is the person that Hashem tortures him and he's still learning from the Torah, which implies that while he's suffering, he's still learning Torah. So we see from there, that's what's considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava. Comes the Gemara answers, no. From there you cannot learn now that it's going on Yisurin Shel Ahava. That passage wants to teach you something else completely. It wants to teach you in general that when Hashem sends a person suffering, you should know it cleanses you out. How do we know? It says like this, Al tikri tilamedenu, ela talmedenu. Davar ze, this thing, she'ashrei adam asher tiyasarenu ya, that praiseworthy is the person that when Hashem sends him suffering, mitorotecha talamdeinu, learn it out from the Torah. So use this pasuk not to say that at the time a person is suffering, he's still learning Torah. No. Use this pasuk to mean praiseworthy is the person at the time when Hashem is sending him suffering. How do I know that he's going to be clean from sin? From where? From the Torah. Rabotai, watch the language. Well, I shouldn't have said clean from sin because we'll see that later on. But the way Rashi wants to say, how do we know that a person is praiseworthy that Hashem sends him suffering? We learn it out from the Torah. How do we know? Kal v'chomer mishev v'ayin. We make a kal v'chomer. Kal literally means something which is light. V'chomer means something which is stringent. If this is kal, it applies by the light, how much more so is going to apply by the chomer, which is something which is strict. Mashen v'ayin shen echad me'evarav shel adam. Just like the tooth and the eye, which is only one limb from the limbs of a person. Eved yotzeh b'hem lechirut. And Eved, a slave, he goes out with them in freedom, meaning to freedom. If a master went out and he knocked out a Eved's eye or tooth, the Eved is free to go. Yisurin, here we go, Rabotai. Shemimarakim kol guvo shel adam, that cleanse the whole person of a body. Alachat kam v'kam, how much more so? He should be free from all sin. If an eye or tooth makes an Eved go free, which is only one part of the limb, how much more so Yisurim, which cleanse a person's whole body? How much more so a person should be free of sin? Because it's the whole body. Now I want to just try to elaborate on this for 1 second. When it says over here, Yisurin shemimarakim kol guvo shel adam. When it says over here that the suffering, it cleanses the whole body of a person. What does that mean that Yisurim, it cleanses the whole body of a person? What does that mean? So if I can give you an example, whenever you have a shirt or any other garment which is dirty and you put it into the laundry machine, the detergent cleanses the shirt or the garment. And what happens in the end? The garment comes out clean. Same thing with us. Nobody should ever know of this. But if a person is feeling suffering, what does suffering do to a person? It cleanses his whole body. It makes him free of sin. That's what the Gemara says. If Yisurin that cleanse a person's whole body, how much more so he should be free of sin? Because a person, when he suffers, it's not just like he has a toothache and that's the only part that bothers. It's his whole body that's suffering, and it's his whole body that's being cleansed right now, like the detergent case. So now the person comes out that he's free from all filth and dirt, which is sin. So that is what the Gemara is telling us over here. Yisurin shemimarakim kol gufo shel adam. Yisurin, which cleanse out, because a person suffers when his whole body is in pain. That, Rabotai, that type of suffering cleanse out a person from all sin. How much more so in such a situation, he should be clean from all sin. Now, pay close attention, Rabotai. Over here, the Gemara is saying Yisurin, and it's not even saying Yisurin shel ahava. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. We have to make that transition. And then he says, V'ayinu Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, and it's like Rabbi Shimon, the son of Lakish, same opinion like him. Lam Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, because Rabbi Shimon, the son of Lakish, said, Ne'emar brit ben melech, v'ne'emar brit ben Yisurin. Ne'emar brit ben melech, dichtiv v'lo tashbid melech brit. V'ne'emar brit ben Yisurin, dichtiv ele divrei habrit. Ma brit hamur ben melech, just like the brit which is stated by the salt. Melech b'mateket the basar, av brit hamur ben Yisurin, Yisurin memarakim kol amuntav shel adam. Right? So too the brit which is stated by the suffering, so the suffering, it cleanses out a person's all sin. Now, Rabotai, we see over here from Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, clearly it is not going on Yisurin shel ahava. Yisurin shel ahava is not cleansing out a person from all sin. Yisurin shel ahava, we're already dealing on a situation in a case where HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to give you such a high olam haba, more than your original zuchiyot, more than your original merits. But already Yisurim over here, yeah, he wants to also give you a bigger olam haba by cleansing you out. But already is coming to speak about Yisurim, which are atoning, meaning they're cleansing you out from your sins. So there are two different things. Yisurim shel ahava is a very high level. But Yisurim that a person that he gets on a rolling chasham throughout the week or throughout the month or rolling whenever he has Yisurim, that Rabotai we can say that that's not the Yisurin Shal Ahava. I'm just trying to bring out a point that over here you have two separate categories of Yisurin, in my humble opinion. Yisurin Shal Ahava is a higher level of Yisurin. The one that Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish and the one that the Gemara is trying to bring proof that this verse of Ashrei HaGever Asher Tiseren Yom Totech Talmudenu is not speaking about Yisurin Shal Ahava. In my humble opinion, speaking about Yisurin, and that's what Rashi says. Sha'ashrei Adam Asher Tiyasrenu Yah. Praise the worthy that the praiseworthy is the person that HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes him suffer. That we learn out from the Torah. Bottom line is, what do we see over here? That praiseworthy is a person that Hashem sends him suffering. Why? Because when he's suffering, it cleanses all the sins of a person. So Rabotai, that's in my humble opinion. Again, if you try to put it with Yisurin Shal Ahava, can we really push it in? Yes. But then what bothers me very much is, why does it say V'hainu de Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish? Why do you have to say that this is exactly like the opinion of Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish? It can't be going on Yisurin Shal Ahava, because Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, he doesn't speak about Yisurin Shal Ahava. He speaks about Yisurin. He clearly says Yisurin. Nor does he say the Yisurin Shal Ahava. Yisurin Shal Ahava, Rabotai, is a very, very high level, like we spoke about before. In any event, I just want to show you something over here also, just clarifying one more point over here. I don't know how many of you guys were able to understand this piece when we did it. One of the things that we have in Gemara is Gezer Shava. Basically, Rabotai, what does Gezer Shava mean? It's basically like a common denominator thing. Whatever is, like for example, if I tell you right now 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, I'll ask you, what is the common denominator? You're going to tell me 2. If I tell you 4, 8, 12, 16, what is the common denominator? You're going to tell me 4. Same thing over here. I want to show you something. When it says over here, Ne'emar Brit B'Melech, and then Ne'emar Brit B'Yisurin. Right? I'm going to show it to you guys right now. Right, you guys see it right over there. 1 second. Okay. You guys see it right over there. If you guys want, you guys can always zoom in. You have Brit B'Melech and Brit B'Yisurin. Now, how do I know Brit? Just the fact that it says Brit B'Yisurin, how do I know that Yisurin is able to cleanse a person from all of his sins? How do I know that? Very simple. I know it from the Brit B'Melech. 1 second. How do I know that Brit is able to cleanse a person? Very simple. Here we go. Because if you guys recall, when we did part 4 of the Shur, we went through the whole covenant thing, right? What is the covenant of salt? What is the covenant of Yisurim? And so on and so forth. I'm not going to go through that whole thing again now. But I want to show you like this. Okay. I want to show you like this. When the Gemara says over here, Ne'emar Brit B'Melech, right? It says, Ma Brit Hamur B'Melech, just like the covenant which is stated by the salt. Melech memateket et abasar. We said that the salt, it sweetens the meat, meaning it rectifies the meat to be able to eat it. It takes out the blood. So now that I know melech has a function of rectifying, now that I know that melech has a function of rectifying, automatically, by melech, we're going to apply it to the brit because they're next to each other. Now that I know that melech rectifies, automatically I'm going to tell you brit does the same thing, it's also going to rectify. Meaning it's going to cleanse. Or if this brit means to rectify or cleanse, that means this brit also must mean to rectify or cleanse. So it's going to come out of here what? That brit b'melech is the same thing by Brit B'Yisurin. Just like the Brit by the Melech, it sweetens the meat, it rectifies, it takes out the blood from the meat and it allows you to eat it. Also, now I understand that's the function of Melech. That is the same function of the Brit. If that is exactly the same function of the Brit, so use that function over here by the Brit by Yisurin. So automatically when you say Yisurin, how do I know Yisurin? Also clean out because I'm next to it Brit. And this Brit goes back to this Brit. And this Brit goes back to the Melech. Okay, Rabotai, and this is basically how you do a Gezerah Shava. Whatever is applicable to that verse, you carry it over to this verse. Alright, the other time I didn't have a blackboard, I didn't do it. Rabotai, I ordered this new blackboard in order to be able to show things on the board to make it a little bit easier. Again, remember, when I'm teaching here, I'm speaking to myself basically. I'm learning with myself in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I don't know who's listening. I can't see if you're understanding or not. So I feel using a blackboard gives the person visual, he'll be better able to understand the Gemara. Okay. Okay, Rabotai, so that's the 2 points I wanted to bring out. Point number 1 I wanted to bring out, that we're making that transition from Yisurin Shel Ahava to regular Yisurin. That's why when the Gemara says, over there, it's already a transition into regular Yisurim. Now, I would want to also say that this goes on Yisurin Shel Ahava, but what makes it very hard for me to say that? Because in technicality, I could have said that it's still going on Yisurin Shel Ahava. Because how does a person get a great Olam Haba? By having his Avanot erased. But what bothers me is the word V'hainu de Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. When the Gemara says, and this is like the opinion of Rabbi Shimon, the son of Lakish. How can you give me the opinion how can you give me an opinion which is like the opinion of Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, where Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says, Yisurin mimerakim kol avonotav shel adam. Why doesn't he say Yisurin shel ahava? That bothers me very much, Rabotai. So there I'm going to learn Yisurin mimerakim shel kol avonotav shel adam. That suffering, it cleanses all the sins of a person. It also can go on regular suffering. It doesn't have to necessarily be Yisurin shel ahava. Because Yisurin shel ahava is a very, very big level, Rabotai, to reach. I'll put it to you like this. If you're not going to learn that this is going on Yisurin Shel Ahava, no, I'm sorry. If you're not going to learn that this is going on regular Yisurim, do you know what you're saying basically is? In order for a person to be able to be cleansed from his sins, he has to make sure he has no sins that are making him, that are the cause of this suffering. He has to make sure that he has no Bittul Torah on his record. And only now it's Yisurin Shel Ahava. If you're telling me Yisurin Shel Ahava is now only going to come and erase you from your sins, Rabotai, to reach the level of Yisurin Shel Ahava is a high level in itself. What I'm trying to say with you today is that when you have Yisurin in general, that also cleanses out a person from his sins. Okay, Rabotai, that is in my humble opinion, that is my take on this, because it wouldn't make sense to me otherwise to say that Yisurin Shel Ahava and Yisurim are the same level. It can't, because it should have never used V'hainu Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. It should have never said that this is like the Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says what? Yisurim mimerakim kol avonotav shel adam. That suffering cleanses out all of a person's sin. Why not say Yisurin shel ahava? Why say Yisurin? So if you're midaik in the word Yisurin, it literally means suffering. It doesn't speak about which kind of suffering. So that's what Rabotai. Let's just try to run through this one more time to get it down good. Pligi bar Rabbi Yaakov bar Idi, Rabbi Acha bar Chanina. Rabbi Yaakov the son of Idi and Rabbi Acha the son of Chanina, they argued in what is considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava. Chad amar Elohim Yisurin Shel Ahava, kol she'en bahem Bittul Torah. As long as the suffering is not causing him Bittul Torah, that's considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava. Shenimar, like the pasuk says, Asher agev asher teisarenu yahu mitortech telmodenu. V'chad amar, and one of them said, Elohim Yisurin Shel Ahava, kol she'en bahem Bittul Tefillah. As long as the Yisurim is not causing Bittul Tefillah, we're going to tell you it is considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava. Shenimar, like the pasuk says, Baruch Elohim asher lo hisir tefillati v'chazdo me'iti. Amud Rabbi Abba bered Rabbi Chia bar Abba. Rabbi Abba, the son of Rabbi Chia, the son of Abba, said to them, Hachi am Rabbi Chia bar Abba am Rabbi Yochanan. This is what Rabbi Chia, the son of Abba, said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Elu ve'elu Yisurin Shel Ahavahem. Whether the suffering causes you Bittul Torah or Bittul Tefillah, it's considered to be Yisurin Shel Ahava, and he brings you a completely different pasuk. Shenimar, the pasuk says, Ki et asher yahev Hashem, whoever Hashem loves, yuchiach, he rebukes them, he sends them suffering. So then the Gemara, now Rabotai, from over here, the Gemara asks the question, so what am I going to do with the pasuk when it says which implies that a person is still suffering and he's able to still learn Torah, and that's when we're going to say that it's Yisurin Shel Ahava. What are we going to do with this pasuk? Al tekri telamedenu ela talmidenu. Davar zeh, this thing that praiseworthy is the person that whoever Hashem sends suffering to, mitorotecha talmidenu, learn it out from your Torah. Kal v'chomer mishem v'an, we'll learn it out from a kal v'chomer, from a tooth and an eye. Mashen v'an shem echad me'evra shel adam, just like the tooth and the eye, which is one of the limbs of a person. Eved yotzeh b'hem l'chirut, and Eved, he goes free with them. Yisurin, suffering. Again, doesn't say Yisurin shel ahava, it says Yisurin. Yisurin shememarakim kol gufo shel adam al achad kama v'kama. Yisurin, which cleanse a person's whole body. How much more so that cleansing of a person's whole body when he's suffering, that's cleansing him from all of his sins. So over there, if you have one eye or one tooth makes the Eved go free, how much more so when the whole body is in pain, how much more so all of his sins should go. And this is like the opinion of Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. The Am Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, because Rabbi Shimon the son of Lakish said, Ne'amar brit b'melech, Ne'amar brit b'yisurin. Because the word brit is stated by the salt, and the word brit is stated by yisurin. Ne'amar brit b'melech, dichtiv, v'lo tashbid melech brit. V'ne'amar brit b'yisurin, dichtiv, eila divrei brit. Ma brit hamur b'melech, just like the brit which is stated by the salt. Melech memateket et basar. What does the salt do? It sweetens the meat. It takes out the blood. It rectifies the meat to be able to eat it. So now I know what melech does. Apply that to brit, like I showed you on the blackboard. Av brit amur b'yisurin. So too good. Now when you're dealing with the brit, which is stated by the suffering, so we're going to learn out that yisurin also do exactly like the brit does by the brit of the melech. So too he says yisurin mimerakim kol avonotav shel adam. So over here he says the yisurin, the suffering, it cleanses a person from all his sins. Rabotai, this is in my humble opinion that we have over here two concepts: yisurin shel ahava and yisurin in general. If you have any other take on it, please leave a comment below and we'll try to look it up together, Bezrat Hashem. But as of now, Rabotai, I'm going to stand in my understanding of this Gemara, because it doesn't make sense. Because I just want to make something clear one more thing. I want to just show you something beautiful. This pasuk of Ashrei HaGever Asher Tiyasrenu Yav Mitorotech Telamedenu, we want to redefine that pasuk. That when praiseworthy is the person that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends him suffering, we're learning it out from the Torah. That's how we're learning that pasuk. We're learning it completely different, because remember, if I'm going to learn this pasuk that is going on Yisurin Shel Ahava, then Rabbi Yochanan has a problem. Rabotai, if you have a different opinion, please comment below. Okay, now that we got through that, let's get to today's learning. Tanya was taught in a Baraita. Tanya was taught in a Baraita. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Rabotai, beautiful piece of Gemara. Rabbi Shimon, the son of Yochai, said, Shalosh matanot tovot natan HaKadosh Baruch Hu liYisrael. 3 good gifts, 3 good presents HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to the Jewish people. Vikulan lo natnan eila al yidei yisurin. And all of them were given only through suffering. If you want to be able to acquire these 3 gifts, it's only done through suffering. Eluhem, and these are them. Which are the 3 gifts that if you want to be able to acquire them, you are only able to acquire through suffering? Which are they? Torah, Rabotai, learning Torah. Torah doesn't come easy. Torah is not supposed to be easy, Rabotai. It's beautiful. It's addicting. It's amazing to sit and learn Torah. But people think it's supposed to come easy. People feel just by listening to a shiur without any exertion on their part, that's considered learning Torah. No, Rabotai. Yeah, actually right. That's learning Torah. But that's not oisik b'Torah. That's not toiling in Torah. In order to be able to acquire real Torah in your life, you have to actually exert. It only comes, Rabotai, he says, Shalosh matanot tovot natan Kadosh Baruch Hu liYisrael, and all of them were given through suffering. Torah is one of them. Torah, in order to be able to acquire Torah, you have to suffer, Rabotai. You have to be able to sacrifice a lot of things in this world. You have to be able to sit in one place even when it's hard. Get up early even when you don't want to. Go to sleep late even when you don't want to. Shut off your phone even if you hate so. Sometimes you even have to put up with your wife when she doesn't want you to go learn Torah. Rabotai, Torah is acquired through Yisurim. Even at the time when you learn Torah, if you're not understanding it, if you're not getting it, that is suffering, Rabotai. People don't realize, they feel that, okay, Torah, I don't understand, not for me. Not for me. You haven't tried. You really haven't tried. What? You sat 6 hours one time on a piece of on a Gemara on one line. You sat and tried to understand it. No. So what do you mean it's not for you? How do you know it's not for you? Imagine a person opens up a business. He sees 1 week it doesn't go. 2 weeks it doesn't go. What does he do? He closes down business. He shuts. That's it. Out of business. That's it. No more working. That's it. Go home. Watch TV all day and that's it. You're done. Or he figures out why. He tries to go and understand what products can I bring more. How can I advertise my business? He goes and he starts toiling in how to make money. He doesn't close the store just because he's not making money. He goes out to find ways how to make money. Same thing with Torah, Rabotai. Be a chacham, don't be a tipesh. Be smart, don't be stupid, Rabotai. Right away, what? I don't understand. What happened? You finished? Nah, it's not for me. Close the book. Where you going? I'm going to listen to the rabbi. Shalom Bait class. I'm going to listen to the rabbi. Musar, Chumash, Midrash. Rabotai, what happened to real learning Torah? Look what the Gemara is telling us. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Omer. Do you know who's Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, Rabotai? Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai says, Shalosh matanot tovot natan Kadosh Baruch Hu liYisrael. 3 good gifts, Rabotai. The best gifts that Kadosh Baruch Hu gave to the Jewish people. And all of them were given through suffering. If you want it, you got to suffer. Now, Rabotai, I'm not telling you to go take a knife and start beating yourself up and start sleeping on the floor and all this. No, Rabotai. But you got to show some resistance, Rabotai, against your midot ra'ot. You can't sit more than an hour, so push yourself. You can't come at night, so push yourself. You can't wake up in the morning, so push yourself. You don't understand the piece of the Gemara, push yourself to understand it. Rabotai, I'm telling you right now, there is no reason not to learn Torah today. People will have a haftacha, people will have such a surprise. Tomorrow, after 120, they're going to think, oh Hashem, I wasn't able to learn Torah. What's the first question Hashem is going to ask him? Did you do business honestly? Why if you did business honestly? You were able to do business, no. If you have a masgif for business, for sure you have a masgif for Torah. The question is, do you really want to sacrifice a lot of the pleasures of this world or not? And this, Rabotai, a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people feel that by me learning Torah, I can't go to the party, I can't go to the beach, I can't go over here, I can't. Big deal, so you can't go over there, Rabotai. And by the way, on the contrary, there's ben azmanim, there's time when you're with your wife, with your children. But when you have to learn Torah for that 1 hour, for those 2 hours, whatever hours you're learning per day, when you have to learn Torah, you have to really learn Torah and not be playing games. I've seen too many times, Rabotai, people while they're learning, they're eating. While they're learning, they're on their phone. While they're learning, they're looking other places. While they're learning, they don't even have a book open in front of them. Rabotai, you think that's learning? Do you think that type of Torah learning is going to stick by you? It's going to be by you? It's going to change you? No, it's not, Rabotai. It won't. Right away, Rabotai, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. Next, Torah was one of them. That is, you can only acquire it through Yisurin, through suffering. Ve'eretz Yisrael. Now, Rabotai, I can easily say from this Gemara, in my humble opinion, when I say something, whenever you hear me say, in my humble opinion, it's because I didn't see it inside. So it's in my opinion. You don't have to agree with what I say. But if I take this Gemara right now and I combine it to the previous Gemara the way we understood, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, where he says, Yisurim mimerakim kol avonotav shel adam, that suffering, they cleanse all the sin of a person. Yisurin, he said, correct? Over here he says, one of the ways to be able to acquire Torah is through Yisurin. So when a person is learning Torah, meaning when you're acquiring Torah, when you're sitting and you're breaking yourself, you're suffering. through that suffering when you were learning Torah, you are erasing all of your sins. Okay, Rabotai, just make them put them. It's not hard to. You have to be a genius to put that together. Yisurin memerakim kol avotav shel adam. Correct? If that is the case, so good. If Torah is acquired through Yisurim, good. I'm learning Torah through Yisurim, even though it's hard. I'm acquiring it. I stay up late. I wake up in the morning. I'm not speaking about myself. I'm just giving an example. You stay up late. You wake up early in the morning. It's hard to sit. You sit and you learn Torah. Good. That is Yisurim. Not only are you being able to acquire Torah, but it also erases all of your avanot. The second one, Ve'eretz Yisrael, and the land of Israel. As we know, living in the land of Israel is only done through Yisurim. You can't live in the land of Israel the way you live outside of the land of Israel. People that live in New York will never be able to understand what does it mean to live in the land of Israel. Children that live outside, like in the 50 states or wherever, if they're not in Israel, the children in Israel are completely different than the children in America or elsewhere. What do I mean, Rabotai? Baruch Hashem, a lot of people come from Israel to help them out financially, whatever the situation might be. There was a certain situation where a woman with 15 children, unfortunately, Rabotai, her husband was nifter, he died. They went to the hospital, everything was fine. They went to the hospital, he said something was bothering him, so the doctor said to the husband, listen, give us some time, there are other people before you. His wife was with him there. So, while the turn of the husband came, he died. He had a heart attack, he died. So when they asked the wife, like, why don't you guys push? If you see something's bothering, why don't you push the line? Why don't you tell them it's an emergency? So when she said that to the husband, he answered her. Rabotai, listen to this. He answered her. How can I go in front of other people? Maybe they have a greater emergency than I. They care for one another. So unfortunately, she's a widow with 15 children. 15 orphans. One of the smallest children comes up to the mother and he asks the mother, Mommy, can I do nitzilet yadayim on a piece of bread? Why not? You're asking yourself, why can't he do it? Of course he can do it. Because they didn't have enough bread in the house for kazait per person. In order to be able to wash and say the bracha, you have to eat a certain amount. So he was afraid he's not going to be able to eat the kazait to be able to bench Birkat Hamazon after. So therefore he said, if he doesn't have that kazait, he's not going to go ahead and wash his hands at all. So his mother said, no, you have a kazait to be able to wash and to be able to bench. Rabotai, they're limited on bread. I saw the pictures in the house, how the children sleep on the floor. Mattress maybe this thick. But you see all of the children are happy. All children, Talmidei Chachamim, all daughters are modest. The girls on the picture, the rabbi that showed me the picture, because we have to collect money for them. He showed me the picture of the 15 children and the wife. The wife's face is erased and the older daughter's face is erased. And one more daughter was faced with the one who got married. She had a veil on her head. That was a marriage picture that they all took. He just married off a daughter before he passed away. Rabotai, can you imagine? Look how modest they are, and all of them are happy. Baruch Hashem B'lei Nar, when we started helping them, money was coming in, Baruch Hashem. So the wife said, people don't realize, my children don't need money. My children need a father's love, which they don't have. My children need junk, like meaning potato chips, candy. That's what they understand. They're her small children. So there was a person, I don't want to say his name, I don't know if he's giving me permission. He was there in Eretz Yisrael. He went immediately, he made a whole shopping for them, everything that they needed, all time, just to give them that sense of security that, listen, we're here for you guys. Rabotai, do you know what it means? Nobody should ever know to sleep on the floor. You look into the apartment, you see the kitchen over here, the living room over here, the dining room over here. It's a very small apartment. In New York, every child should have his own room. their own car, their own bed, their own closet, their own table, their own everything. Rabotai, to live in Eretz Yisrael, it only comes through suffering, only through Yisurim. That's what he's telling us over here. The Eretz Yisrael. And what's the last one? Rabotai was the third gift, the third great gift that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us. What is it? Ve'ha'olam haba. Olam haba is only acquired through Yisurim, through suffering. When you don't want to do something and you still do it, you break yourself, that's how you're able to get Olam haba. Oh, Super Bowl, I'm going to go watch Super Bowl. Rabotai, what is the Super Bowl going to give you? You know how many people came up to me, Rabbi, you're watching the Super Bowl. Even though even though this is, Rabotai, I lived for this before I became religious. This was my life. That's what I was. That's what I wanted to become. I wanted to play in the NFL at one point. But Rabotai, you have to ask yourself, why do you have to watch the Super Bowl? What is it going to give you? So you watched it for 3 hours, I don't know how long, 4 hours. So you watched it. All right, so they won and they lost. What did you get out of it? Zero. It is very, very important, Rabotai, to know, in order to acquire Olam haba, it's also through Yisurim. When you don't want to do something and you do something and you do it, you are able to acquire Olam haba. You get angry and you break yourself. Your wife annoys you. Your children did this. Somebody took money. I don't know, whatever is the situation, any situation that you put through. Don't overreact. Don't be reactive, Rabotai. Think about the situation. Because by holding back from speaking Lashon Hara, by holding back and speaking Shul, by holding back by not picking up your phone during learning Torah, all these things make you acquire Olam haba. Olam haba can only be acquired through suffering, no other way. Not like we think about time. I'm telling you, people are going to have beautiful surprises after they die after 120. They think they were doing everything right. They will be in the state of shock of their lives to see where their Olam haba is and where it could have been. Because Rabotai, the effort comes from us. Hashem has to see how badly do you want it. Let me see if he brings down over your Olam haba. No, he doesn't say over your Olam haba. Fine. Doesn't bring down. Okay, there's no Rashi and it's fine. So one more time. So he says, Elohim, these are the great gifts that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to the Jewish people, and they were only given through suffering. You want to acquire them? You have to suffer, meaning you have to push yourself, Rabotai. Even when it's hard, you got to do it. Torah ve'eretz Yisrael ve'olam haba. Torah minan, how do we know that Torah is only acquired through suffering? Shenemar, like the pasuk says, we did this pasuk before. Ashrei hagever asher tiyasserenu yaum mitorotecha tilamedenu. Praiseworthy is the person that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends him suffering, and he's learning his Torah. So this pasuk, how are we going to learn it? We see over here the word tiyasserenu, which is Yisurin, and we see over here umitorotecha tilamedenu, which means that you have to learn from Hashem's Torah. So we see over here that they're next to each other, the word Yisurin and learning Torah. So how do we know that the only way to acquire Torah is through Yisurim? From this pasuk. Eretz Yisrael, how do we know that the land of Israel is only acquired through Yisurim? Because it says in the pasuk, Ki ka'asher yeyaser ish et bino, just like when a man, meaning when a father, he makes his son suffer, Hashem Elokecha miyasareka. So to Hashem, your God, is going to make you suffer. Just like you understand in your mind how a father, he punishes his son, so to Hashem, he punishes the Jewish people. But then it's written right after that, Ki Hashem Elokecha mive'acha el eretz tova. Because Hashem, your God, is going to bring you into the good land. So we see in the passage that they're close to each other in the Torah, even though they're one pasuk away from each other. Nevertheless, we see over there, you have Hashem is going to make you suffer, but then it also says the land of Israel. So we compare and contrast. To be able to acquire the land of Israel, to be able to live in Eretz Yisrael, it's only done through suffering. A lot of self-sacrifice has to be inside. Olam haba, how do we know about that when it comes to Olam haba? How do we know that one is only able to acquire olam haba through suffering. Dichtiv, because the pasuk says, here we go, ki ner mitzvah, because the candle is a mitzvah. V'torah, or, and the light of the candle is the Torah. V'derech chayim tochochot musar, and the way of life, excuse me, and the way of life is when a person gets disciplined, disciplined rebuke. When he gets musar, when he gets rebuke, right? Basically, it goes like this: V'derech chayim tochochot musar, and the way of life is when a person gets rebuke, he gets disciplined rebuke. If you look into Rashi, Rashi says, V'derech chayim. What does it mean V'derech chayim in this pasuk? Chaye ha'olam haba, the life of the world to come, havayin lo, they're going to be to him. See, there's an odalad, you have to look into the Hagod V'Yitzunim, and it tells you, you have to add the word al yidei. So he's going to go like this: Chaye ha'olam haba, havayin lo al yidei tochachat musar l'adam. If a person wants to have the next world, it's only going to come through when he gets musar, when the musar is spoken down on him. That's what's going to discipline to be able to go in the right way. Rabotai, we're going to see all these pasukim. The pasuk is going to explain this much better. I'm just paraphrasing it right now. So let's go see all these pasukim. All right, let's see which one we're going to see now. First one we're going to see is in Devarim, where it says, "V'yadat im levecha ki kasher yaser ish et beno, Hashem elkecha mi'yisareka." That's in Devarim Chet, in Parak Chet, pasuk Hey. Okay. I will see the two pasukim. They're back to back. Actually, we have over here two pasukim. And also, one second, let me just see something. Yes, we'll do Ot Kuf in the Torah or Shalom, and also we're going to do Ot Reish right away because they're next to each other in the back of the book, right? Because they go for one hand in hand. All right, so let's see it in the back. I have it in the Sefer Mikraot on page Zayin. It says over there, "V'yadati im levavecha ki ka'asher yiyaser ish beno," and you should know with your heart that just like when a person, he punishes his son, Hashem elokecha mi'yisareka, so to Hashem your God also punishes a person. He comes over here in the comment and he says, what does it mean, v'yadata im levavecha? Sheteda be'imunat libecha. You should know by believing in your heart. Just like you can understand the concept, when a father, he makes a child suffer, so to HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes a person suffer. Why does the father punish a child? That he should better his ways. Why does Hashem punish the Jewish people? So they can better their ways. And after that, the next pasuk is written in Perek Het pasuk Zayin. Ki Hashem, again remember it's back to back, but there's a pasuk in between. Ki Hashem elokecha miva'acha el eretz tova, because Hashem your God is going to bring you to the good land. Eretz nachalei mayim, a land which streams water. Ayanot, springs. Utehomot, fountains. Yotziim, that come out from it. Baskiau bahar, that come out from the valley and the mountain. In the commentary it says, Mila'el Katuv, above this pasuk is written, V'shamartet mitzvat Hashem Elokech, and you guard the mitzvah of Hashem your God, Lalechet b'derechav u'lira'a oto. Okay, Rabotai, so basically, I'll put it to you like this. You have pasuk Hey, which speaks about the father punishing the son, so too Hashem punishes the Jewish people. But then you have pasuk Vav, which speaks about that if you guard the mitzvah of Hashem, and if you go in His ways, and if you're going to fear Him, then it says over there in pasuk Zayin, that's pasuk Vav. And pasuk Zayin is going to tell you, then Hashem is going to bring you to the good land. But what do we see over here? In pasuk Hey, it speaks about Yisurin. In pasuk Zayin, it speaks about Hashem bringing the Jewish people to the good land, meaning to Eretz Yisrael. So the bottom line we see over here, that the only way a person is able to acquire Eretz Yisrael is through suffering. Now let's go back, let's see over here more. Okay. We also have to see another two more pasukim. In Devarim, we saw that. 1 second. Kuf Yisor, Resh Yisor. Also one more pasuk. In Mishlei Perek Vav Pasuk Chav Gimel, Kiner Mitzvah. Let's see this one. Kiner Mitzvah v'Torah Or. Kiner Mitzvah v'Torah Or. Where do you go, Mishlei? That's really, okay, right here. Kiner Mitzvah v'Torah Or. I have it on page Yudchet in the Sevra Mikraot. He says Kiner Mitzvah v'Torah Or v'Derech Chaim Tochochot Musar. Right, because we explained that the candle is the mitzvah of a person. The Torah learned that a person is the light of the candle. V'derech Chaim, the way of life, is Tochochot Musar. Which basically would mean, let me just try to get it in the good English. Tochot literally means to rebuke. Musar means to, right, the ethical discipline that we give a person. So that's going to be like this. The way of life, okay. Rabotai, the way of life is the rebuke that disciplines. That is a better way of saying it. V'derech Chaim, the way of life, Tochot Musar, is the rebuke that disciplines. Meaning the ethical rebuke that a person gets, that disciplines a person to go in the right way. So he says over here in the commentary, Kiner Mitzvah, he explains like this, Kimo she'ha'or me'ir la'olam, just like the light, it lights up to the world, it lights up the world, tamid, constantly, Kach ha'Torah omedet zuchota le'olam el adam. So to the Torah, the merit of the Torah that a person learns is always going to stand for a person. The Torah that you learn is always going to stand for you. V'zechut mitzvah lefi sha'a ke'or ner. And the zechut mitzvah and the merit of the mitzvah that a person does, it's only going to help you. Wow, one second, Aboy Sai. This is a beautiful pshat. One second. He has a very different understanding over here. כמו שהאור מאיר לעולם תמיד כך התורה עומדת לזכות לעולם אל אדם בזכות מצווה לפי שעה כאור הנר. Wow. Okay. So let me try to give the, because there's ways you can learn this pasukim. He wants to learn this pasuk when it says v'Torah or, because I'll tell you why. Because there's other ways that I've seen this pshat over here. What does it mean kiner mitzvah v'Torah or? What does it mean mitzvah, kiner mitzvah, that the candle is the mitzvah of a person, the Torah is the or, right? And the learning of the Torah is the light. Light of what? Light of the candle. Meaning like this. A person can come to the next world with many mitzvot, which are the candles. But if he has no Torah, if he has no light to light those candles, how much is going to help him? The other way around, if a person has a lot of light, he comes with a lot of Torah, but he has no mitzvot, meaning he has no candles. So what is going to, that light that he has, what is going to light up? So that's what they go hand in hand. But he wants to say over here something else. He wants to say over here something even stronger. He wants to over here that Shaha'or, he's like this. Just like the or lights up the whole world, light lights up the whole world, so to a person's Torah that he learns, that merit is always going to stand for him. But v'zichut mitzvah, but the merit of a mitzvah that a person does, lifisha, it's only for the moment. How? Like how you compare only for the moment? Ki or ner, like the light of a candle. Just like the light of the candle is only for this specific, what do you call it? This area over here can only light up this area. So to the mitzvah, when you do a mitzvah, it can only help you for that moment. But or real light, Rabota, just like light lights up the whole world, so to the Torah will stand for you forever. That's what he wants to explain this passage. This is a very beautiful pshat, by the way. V'derech Chaim, when we said that the way of life is the rebuke that disciplines, Tochochot musar, what does that mean? The rebuke that disciplines. Hem matim et ha'adam l'chaim. Basically, let me put it to you in simple English. When a person gets rebuked, those rebukes that a person gets, they tilt a person to life, to do the right things. Nimtza shehem derech chaim, it comes out that when a person is being rebuked, that is life. Because without being rebuked, Rabotai, you always think you're a tzaddik, you always think you're doing everything good. Alright, let's go back to see this now. Let me see this now with understanding those pasukim. So one more time. Tanya Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Omer. Tanya, it was taught in the Braita. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, Rabbi Shimon the son of Yochai says, Shalosh matonot tovot natan HaKadosh Baruch Hu LeYisrael. 3 good gifts HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to the Jewish people. V'kulan lo natnan ela al yidei yisurin. All of them were given through suffering. Elohen, these are them. Torah ve'eretz Yisrael ve'olam haba. Torah you can only acquire through suffering. Eretz Yisrael you can only acquire through suffering. And olam haba you can only acquire through suffering. How do we know? Torah minayin, from Torah how do we know? From where do we know that Torah can only be acquired through suffering? Shenema, like the pasuk says, Ashrei hagever asher tiyasrenu ya umitoratecha tilamdenu. Praiseworthy is a person that Hashem makes him suffer, and he's still learning from Hashem's Torah. So we see over here the concept of Yisurin next to learning Torah. So we see that Torah can only be acquired through suffering. Eretz Yisrael, how do we know that Eretz Yisrael is only acquired through suffering? Dichtiv, because it's written in the pasuk, Ki kasher yaser ish et bino, just like a person who goes out and he makes his son suffer, Hashem elokecha mi yasareka, so to Hashem your God is going to make you suffer. Uchti batrei, ki Hashem elokecha mivicha el eretz hatovah. And it's written right after it, meaning after one more pasuk, skipping pasuk vav over there, was pasuk hey and pasuk zayin. Because then it says over there, because Hashem is going to bring you to the good land. So we see over here that you have Yisurin in pasuk vav, and you have the land of Israel in pasuk zayin. No, you have Yisurin in pasuk hey, and you have Yisurin in pasuk hey, and you have the land of Israel in pasuk zayin. Since that is the case, since they're next to each other, we're learning from over here that Eretz Yisrael can only be acquired through suffering. How do we know that Olam Haba can only be acquired through suffering? Because the pasuk says Kiner mitzvah v'Torah or. Wow. Like we explained, the Ner is the mitzvah and the Torah is the or. Just like the or lights up the world, the light lights up the whole world, so to the Torah it's comparable to the light. So to the Torah is always going to stand for you forever. But a mitzvah, the light of a mitzvah, just like it's only for whatever it's next to it, so to the mitzvah can only help you for that moment, wherever you are at that moment. V'derech hayim tochochot musar. And the way of life is the rebuke that a person gets through being disciplined. Rabotai, if you look into Rashi one more time, v'derech hayim, which is going on chaya olam haba, havin lo al yidei tochad musar la'adam. Basically like this. A person is able to get olam haba through the rebukes that a person receives. If you pay close attention, it says tochad musar, it's in quotes. So basically we're going to read it, chaya olam haba, havayan lo al yidei tochad musar la'adam. The world to come, a person is going to only get through when a person is being rebuked. But the reason, if you pay close attention, if you want to translate the word for word, tochochot is a rebuke, musar is discipline. The rebuke which disciplines, right? People can get rebuked, but what are you getting rebuked for? Right? It's a rebuke that's going to allow you to go in the ways of Hashem, which is going to bring you that olam haba. Rabotai, let's turn the page. I know we are almost close to an hour. Let's turn the page, B'ezrat Hashem b'lenet, and then we'll continue tomorrow. Tana Kamed Rabbi Yochanan. A Tana, he taught. Now I want to just show you something. Tana means to teach. Tana is a Tana, meaning a teacher. So Tana. The Tana taught. Kameh means before the Rabbi Yochanan. Tana Kamed Rabbi Yochanan. A Tana taught before Rabbi Yochanan. Kol ha'oseg ba'Torah. Anybody who toils in Torah, ubigimulut chasedim, and also in doing chesed. Rabbi Sai, turn the page. Well, I gotta get music. But 1 second. 1 second, Rabbi Sai, let me get over here music. I'm just gonna put it off airplane mode. And then 1 second, Okay. Okay, Rabbi, so let me just make it loud. Okay. Rabotai, Baruch Hashem. Rabotai, turn the page, kiss the page, love the page, sleep with the page, be with the page, review the page. Okay, Rabotai, continues the Gemara. The Gemara says, Tana kamid Rabbi Yochanan. There was a Tana that taught before Rabbi Yochanan. Kol ha'osek b'Torah b'gimulut chasim. Anybody who toils in Torah and in gimulut chasim and in doing kindness, ve'kover et banav chas v'shom Rabotai lo oleinu, and he buries his children, meaning during his lifetime, mochalin lo akol avonotav. They're going to forgive a person for all of his sins. Rabotai, we're going to conclude over here. Be'ezrat Hashem b'lened, will continue from here. May everybody have arichas yamim. Be'ezrat Hashem, Rabotai, nobody should ever know of this. The children should bury their parents and not parents their children. Hashem should bless each and every one of us with arichut yamim, arichut shanim, bracha, hatzlacha, b'shefa Rabotai. We should only always go in the ways of Hashem and be able to acquire the greatest olam haba.